really, Anita bought her first registered cow from them. And then really it was no question whether or not we were going to have registered cows. We do a number of tours on the farm, and that's the first thing we tell people is it's the cows that make this go. They're the foundation, they're the backbone of the farm, of the creamery. And I see it as a real responsibility to our members to try to make life on their dairy farm better and more efficient.
Welcome to Holstein Connections, where we share the latest stories, insights, and news from Holstein Association USA and beyond. The largest dairy cattle breed association in the world, Holstein Association USA provides leadership, information, and services to help dairy producers worldwide be successful. Whether you're in the barn, on the road, or just tuning in for your dose of dairy news, we're glad you're here. This is Holstein Connections. Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. I'm Emily Bosch, and joining me today is our recently elected Holstein Association USA President, Dwight Rokey. Dwight has completed 2 full terms as the Region 7 Director, as well as 2 years as Vice President. He farms with his family at Rokeyroad Holsteins in Sabetha, Kansas. Dwight, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Emily.
So during our spring board meeting this year, which was in Kansas City, the rest of the board of directors and some fellow staff members and I all had the pleasure of touring your farm, Dwight. You have so many exciting things going on, from your beautiful registered Holsteins to the creamery that you and your family recently started, and I can't wait to dive into everything. But first, let's take it back to the beginning. Give us a little bit of an overview. How did Rokeyroad Holsteins come to be, Dwight? What's your story?
Yeah, so some of you may know or not know, I did not grow up on a dairy farm, and neither did my wife. So we did grow up on farms, but in our farm, particularly at mom and dad's, they had mostly hogs. So it was a swine farm, and we had a few beef cattle and then some crop acres. And I just really enjoyed the livestock, from sitting on the fence watching the beef cattle to telling my parents which sows went with which litter of pigs and things like that. And I bargained with my brothers of, you know what, I'll stay home and do chores if you guys want to go out in the field and ditch the field or shred or whatever. I was not a tractor person, and I'm still not. But really, when I was 10 years old, we took a family vacation to Wisconsin. Mom had some relatives up there, and so we went there to visit them, and he had a little 40 or 50 cow tie stall barn that we went to visit that he ran, and we went to visit with their family. And I walked into that barn and my jaw just dropped. I just thought that was the neatest thing there was. And implanted in my head at that time was that's what I want to do when I get big. So when we got home from that vacation, I begged my parents for a cow I could milk by hand. I tried to give them all how great this would be. They wouldn't have to buy milk anymore. We could make butter. We could make ice cream. This was just going to be a win-win situation. And they allowed me to get a cow. So when I was 10 years old, I started milking a cow by hand and went through a number of cows until I got into high school and was busy with a lot of other activities and things. And nobody else ever wanted to milk the cow. So they went by the wayside. I thought that probably was the end of my dairy career, but the Lord had other plans, I guess. So during that time, my wife was milking on some other local dairy farms. She started helping, just doing some milkings and stuff like that, and ended up over by Seneca milking for Richard Gress, and she was his herdswoman. And at that time, I was working at the vet clinic and also had a beef cow herd, and they were part of our clientele. And so we'd go out there to their dairy farm and stuff. But eventually, we were engaged, and during that time, I would go down to the dairy, milk a little bit, go back to the vet clinic, did that shuffling around, which was a lot. And then in 1994, we were married and was still doing the same thing, going in, milking, working at the vet clinic, taking care of the beef cows. And it was just too much. We started a family. And so I eventually quit at the vet clinic and started working for Trogress, where Anita was. And we worked there for 2 years. And we kind of looked at each other and said, why don't we do this on our own? So in November 11th of 1996, sorry, back up a little. We bought it with the current farm we live on. We purchased that in 1996. And then November 11th of 1999 was our first milking here on the farm. So that's where it kind of started.
And what a journey that was, Dwight, to get to your current farm and where you are today. Who are some of the key mentors who really helped you get your start or helped you along the way?
Yeah. So when I think of mentors, these are people that help you get to where you're going. Maybe doesn't don't give you the answers you want to hear, you know, make you face reality some. And so a lot of people, when I think of that, especially my parents, you know, they taught me, they raised me with a lot of good values and things. And so I credit them a lot and giving me the opportunity to do what I enjoyed. I do remember when we told them that we were interested in dairying and starting our own farm, them saying, "Do you really understand what you're getting into?" We probably said yes, but the answer probably should have been no. But, they helped us purchase the farm we're on. They bought some of the acreage just to make it affordable that we could buy the house and the buildings and stuff, which was not a dairy farm either. It was an old hog farm where we're dairying at. Yep. So a couple of it, then Richard Gress, the person that we are milked for, he was not a registered breeder at all, but he really exposed us to the dairy industry. He allowed us to, encouraged us to attend meetings and different things. So we really got our feet wet from that side of it. And then just down the road, a couple miles from that farm were the rotting houses. They were registered breeders, well known registered breeders. And they really, Anita bought her first registered cow from them. And then really it was no question whether or not we were going to have registered cows. That was just something that we just did, you know. So then people really played a role in us getting started too.
I'm sure it was really important to have all of their support and mentorship as you got your start in the dairy industry. So, Dwight, what does the farm look like today?
Yeah. So currently we milk 100 cows, registered Holstein cows. And we started the creamery here just about a year ago. So it involves just about all the family members to some extent. Yep.
So, who in your family is involved then? Give us a little bit of a rundown there.
Okay. Yeah. So Leah is our oldest daughter. She's really the one that inspired us more to pursue the creamery. But she was working on the farm, really enjoyed the cows and just the farm life in general. And then she moved to Illinois for a year and a half and worked on a farm that processed their own milk. And then she went to Africa for a while on some missions and stuff. And when she came back home, she expressed interest of being on the farm. And Anita and I had always dreamed about processing our own milk. We just thought it would be, here we have this quality product. We sure wish we could share it with the community and the people around us. But it just looked too daunting to do on our own. We're had enough going on trying to start the farm ourselves. But then as we traveled and stuff and got our feet wet and seen some other farm processing plants, and when Leah expressed interest in coming back, we're like, okay, maybe this is the time. Now we can start the processing plant.
So, I had the pleasure of getting to see a little bit of it and sampling some of your delicious products when I toured your farm during the board meeting. But for our listeners, tell us a little bit more about what you sell and what kind of reception the community has had to your new creamery and your new venture.
Yeah, it's been overwhelmingly supported by our community. And it's what we focus on in the creamery is just quality products. We focus on all clean ingredients, which means there's no artificial colors or food colorings or stabilizers or whatever additives it may be. So a lot of our products will have the shortest ingredient list possible because we don't put in a lot of the junk, if you will. So yeah, that's kind of one of our main focuses and just having a really good tasting, healthy product for people to enjoy.
Absolutely. I also don't want to skip over the foundation of your farm, which is your beautiful herd of registered Holstein cows. Tell us a little bit more about the type of cow that you breed for and some of the management practices and things that you focus on there day to day with the cows.
Yep. And that's what we do a number of tours on the farm, and that's the first thing we tell people is it's the cows that make this go. They're the foundation, they're the backbone. of the farm, of the creamery, whatever it is. So we really focus on conformation, matters a lot to me. I like to see a functional, pretty cow. To get up every morning and go out to the barn, I don't want to be milking just an old cow. I want it to look nice. So I focus on conformation quite a bit and then really just cow comfort and quality feed. You can get, in my opinion, just about any cow to milk if she's comfortable and she has good food to eat. So them are a couple of things that we really focus on in this cow comfort and quality feed.
Could you also tell us more about your breeding strategy and genetics and that end of your operation?
Yep. Like I'd mentioned, conformation really makes a difference. If a cow's functional and can get around, she's going to thrive in about, any environment. And so, and then with that, and then the cow comfort, now I'm starting to pay a lot more attention to maybe, milk production and components. And even more recently, now with the creamery, we're focusing on A2A2, that beta casein protein in our milk. All of our fluid milk is A2A2 in our quark. Not all the other cheese products are because we just don't have enough A2 cows yet in the herd. But that's a big focus for us right now.
I'm glad you mentioned that because that was something I was just thinking as you were talking. I wonder if any of your breeding strategy has changed at all with your creamery. So that's interesting to learn about. Dwight, for our listeners who may not know, tell us what Quark is. I think that's kind of a unique product that you offer.
Okay. Yeah, when we started the creamery, I didn't know what cork was either. But Leah said, "Well, I think we should make cork." And I'm like, "Well, what's that?" So it's a soft, spreadable, fresh European style cheese that's really high in protein and has a lower fat content. So if you want to compare it, you could say compared to cream cheese, only it's a healthy option to cream cheese. And it has a wide variety of uses. You can spread it on bagels, toast, use it as a dip for like crackers or a vegetable dip, depending on what flavor, if it's a savory or kind of a sweet flavor. And then, or you can bake with it. A lot of people will bake with it. You can use it in lasagnas, or if you want to make a creamy pasta or something like that, you can use it for the things like that.
You're making me hungry here, Dwight. So, looking back, what's been the most rewarding part about developing your farm and raising your family around the lifestyle of dairy farming?
I'd say the most rewarding part is when you hear comments from people, whether it's on the cow side, that's a beautiful cow, or she does really well. You sell her, and she does really well for somebody. She was nominated All American. She was intermediate or whatever at Expo. Them kind of things are probably the most rewarding when you have cows do well for other people. And then on the creamery side, when people come back and they're like, you know what, it's been 30 years since I've been able to drink milk. I'm so happy I can drink milk now again. Or, the raving reviews on the ice cream or whatever it is what really is rewarding for us. When we can see other people enjoy the products, the farm life, or when we're given tours or something, and people are just like, "Oh, this is just so neat. Thanks for doing this." That's really special.
Well, it seems very full circle too from when you were pitching to your parents that you should get a cow on the farm, and now you're able to offer those dairy foods to your community. I think that's pretty cool. Holstein Association USA's virtual interview contest is back, and applications are now open. Junior Holstein members ages 12 to 21 can gain real world experience by creating a resume, writing a cover letter, and completing a mock video interview, all while receiving feedback from industry professionals. Whether you're preparing for your first job, internship, or scholarship opportunity, the virtual interview contest is a fun way to gain experience and confidence. Visit juniorholstein.com to learn more and apply today. Or help spread the word by sharing this opportunity with the Junior Holstein member you know. I could ask you questions about your farm and creamery all day, Dwight, but I do want to shift focus to your involvement with Holstein Association USA. Of course, today you're now serving as our association's president, but I'm curious about how you got your first taste of the Holstein Association, either at the state or the national level. Beyond purchasing that very first registered Holstein cow, how did you really dig in and get involved in the organization?
Yeah, so when we started beginning more involved just in the industry as a whole, in the dairy industry, and we had registered cows. We had some of the local registered breeders that like, are you interested in serving on the Kansas Holstein board? So I did that. So that was kind of my introduction to the state level. And we had attended some registered Holstein sales. And so people see that we were starting to buy some registered animals. And then served on that board and then was president of the Kansas Holstein for a while. And then served as a delegate at the national level a number of years. And so that was really kind of how it started, just real small on the state level. Kansas doesn't have a big association, but got involved with that, then became a delegate at the national level, served as a delegate for quite a few years, and just kind of got my feet wet there, would witness the board of directors and stuff in their role. And yeah, that's how I got introduced to the national level.
So it sounds like you kind of worked your way up and became more involved over the years. But I'm curious, Dwight, as a first generation dairy farmer, why did you prioritize registered Holsteins and involvement with the association?
So I like to identify with my cows, right? And the best way to do that is to register them. Because then not only do you have a registration number you can identify with, you have a registration name or even a short name that you identify the cow with, and it just builds from there. And then you're starting to get information, whether it's genomic information or whether it's classification data and linear traits and all these things. Now you're identifying with your cow and you can learn so much about her. You can learn a lot from her family history, her family tree, her genealogy, her sire stack, her maternal line. And so you've just got this close connection and identification with your cows. And then if you have that, then you can look in how to improve her and to make improvements in her cow family.
Absolutely. And I'm curious, how do you describe to, say, a creamery customer the role of registered Holsteins in your operation?
Yeah. So I think when you can tell people you can trace genealogy or you can trace her cow family back multiple generations, they think that's really neat and that's important to them. They see it as from a health standpoint or a care standpoint, which I see that as well. But I also see it as an improvement standpoint for the following generations.
So, Dwight, what advice would you give someone that has either thought about becoming involved or is just starting their involvement with the Holstein Association?
I tell them to make yourself known. Don't be shy. Don't be afraid to introduce yourself or tell someone your interest in what you want to do. They can help you with that. If you, if you're saying, well, you know what, I'm interested in the association, talk to somebody, tell somebody that, whether it's maybe you're at a local state level, and then work on up into being a delegate or whatever it may be. If you're aspiring to be on the board of directors or something like that, let that be known. Don't be afraid to ask and be willing to listen and learn and don't, you know, be hesitant. I think that's a lot of times we think that, oh, I'm not capable or I'm not, these other people. Cause I for sure remember looking at the board of directors and thinking, well, these guys are high class, smart people. That definitely is not the case because I'm in that position, right? We're just common people.
Common people with a real passion for the Holstein cow and the dairy business. In thinking about your own journey and path, who or what inspired you to consider running for the board of directors?
So I think the inspiration started even when I was serving as a delegate. When I would witness the board of directors and their professionalism and the things that they did, I just thought that intrigued me and looked interesting. And then Roy Bussing was serving as our Region 7 director. And when he had served his completed terms, he had approached me about running for the board, and I agreed. And here we are.
And here we are today. Did you ever imagine that this is where your path on the board of directors would lead you?
I did not imagine it at all. It wasn't even something I had on my radar.
So, Dwight, when you first joined the board of directors, if you can think back, what surprised you the most about some of the work that happens behind the scenes on the board to serve our members?
Yeah, I didn't have any idea the amount of time and effort and thought and deliberations that went into the decision makings, the stuff that went on behind the scenes, the amount of staff involvement and the things that they would bring to the board and the thing the board would ask of them. As much as going into the TPI formula. and what makes that up and or the direction they want the association to go, whatever it may be that we're looking at. I didn't know all that. I had no idea that them things took place or what took place in the board meetings, you know? So, and it's been great. It's been so enjoyable to learn.
So, what has the most memorable part of your time on the board been so far? Is there something that stands out to you?
Meeting people, and I'm not even a people person really. You know, I kind of like to just sit in the background and watch the people go by, so to speak. But when you meet up with people that have the same desire as you do, the camaraderie that you have with each other, and you can bounce stories, and you realize that you're not the only person that has a cow die, or you realize you're not the only person that had a cow that won, you know, somewhere maybe. That's really fun. That camaraderie really is a very good spot to be in. And then I would say recently being involved in the conception of the Holstein Conformation Composite or the HCC and seeing that come to fruition is really exciting for me.
Certainly one of many things for our members to be excited about right now. But as you begin your term as president, from your view, Dwight, what excites you the most?
Oh, the endless possibilities and the opportunities that are out there. I mean, and a lot of them we don't even know. We don't even know what they are yet. We haven't even thought of them yet, but they're out there. So I think that's what's exciting because our environment and our industry is always changing. So there's always things to look for and the opportunities that await.
Yeah, I think that's a cool perspective. There are things out there that we haven't even thought of yet that we'll be talking about a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. That's fun to think about, Dwight.
Absolutely.
Speaking of the future, what opportunities do you see for the next generation of Holstein enthusiasts, and what role do you think our association can play in helping them succeed?
For younger people, if there's a will, there's a way. Like if they have a desire to be in the dairy industry, the opportunities are endless. If they want to take them, they can go for them. And I think, as I think about it a little bit with how our society and whatever it may be is evolving, right? There's so much new technology, so much new things you can do with data and use that information and taking that and merging it with maybe practices that have been in the past and merge them together and use that information. And I think our younger generation is more equipped and able to do that than any of us. You know, so I think the opportunities are just endless for the next generation.
And what does the opportunity to serve as the association's president mean to you personally?
Personally, it really excites me. I'm glad I have this opportunity. It's a chance to serve and to give back to the industry. What it really has helped me in the what I would still say in a really short period of time. I didn't grow up in the industry. I don't have the background of going to national convention and participating in Dairy Bowl or Dairy Jeopardy and all them things that a lot of the kids get to do. But it's people that came or people that were there for me, even when I was maybe older, coming into the industry that helped me. And so I want to be able to help anybody that's coming in to the industry or somebody that's been here for a long time. And I see it as a responsibility, a real responsibility to our members to try to make life on their dairy farm better and more efficient. I love seeing and hearing the success stories of somebody that, like did something within the association and they're like, this just really helped me, and kind of like the light bulb moments and stuff like that when somebody's just like, yes, this now I've got, when you can hear them, that's encouraging.
So, if you could leave members and others in the dairy industry listening today with one message, what would that message be?
It would be don't give up. Look for new ways to do things on your farm. Be willing to learn because you just never know when that next 10-year-old boy or girl is going to walk in your barn and you're going to implant some kind of a dream in them. If I recall right, and I'm pretty sure this is accurate, when that farm that we visited, that gentleman only had one leg. He got a leg injured in a farming accident and he was still daring. He was doing it for his family and for, his children. And I mean, that's not giving up. That's still pursuing what he wanted to do. And yeah, we see so much or talk and hear, so many dairy farms that are closing the doors and stuff like that. So that's why I say don't give up and look for new ways to do things.
And you're a wonderful example of that as a first generation dairy farmer and Holstein Association USA member. I really enjoyed learning more about your story and how you got to where you are today, Dwight. Before we officially wrap up the podcast, is there anything else you would like to add or share that you haven't had the opportunity to talk about yet?
I think I would just like to thank those who have served before me that have made the association strong, that has given me this opportunity to serve and maybe continue to grow the association and our members and stuff. So I just want to say that, and to the staff too. They've put in countless hours that a lot of us don't get to see. You know, some of us do get to see, but so that all that makes it possible, that has really given me this opportunity.
And thank you, Dwight, for seizing the opportunity to serve our association as well. Before we end, we're going to ask 5 would you rather questions just for fun so everyone can get to know you a little bit better. So, are you ready, Dwight?
I am ready.
All right. Early morning milking or late night barn check?
Early morning milking without exception.
Ice cream cone or ice cream sundae?
I'll do an ice cream cone. Sometimes the fudge ruins the ice cream.
And what flavor is that ice cream cone?
Vanilla.
Vanilla, you like the classic vanilla ice cream. All right, black and white or red and white Holstein?
Color doesn't matter, whichever one is best.
Okay, if you were a junior competing at National Holstein Convention today, would you be competing in the prepared public speaking contest or the extemporaneous speaking contest?
Today I'm going to answer the extemporaneous. Probably years ago I'd have been more prepared, but I'd like to try the extemporaneous.
Yes, extemporaneous. All right, final question. Custom ear tag or normal ear tag?
I do cast.
Custom. All right, there you have it, everyone. That's our Holstein president, Dwight Rokey. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Emily.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Holstein Connections. Whether you're in the barn, on the road, or just tuning in for your dose of dairy news, we're glad you're here. Until next time, this is Holstein Connections.